Well, Frank, you know what they always say? November college football is when everything really heats up. You hear a lot of coaches say this is when you win national championships or SEC championships, ACC championships, possibly for Florida State. But one team that I don't think is going to be talking about a championship anytime soon is, unfortunately, the Florida Gators.
They are really struggling, and that was a bad loss to Arkansas, Alessandra. Everybody's talked about what a bad loss it was because they looked unorganized, they looked discombobulated. Look, when he got the job, everybody thought he was going to be this professional, organized, attentive to detail guy, and they haven't looked that way. For the first time now, people are saying, is Billy Napier maybe not a good coach? Good recruiter, good person, good culture developer, but is he maybe not a good coach? That was a tough loss to the Gators. I now think they're going to miss a bowl. They're 5-4. I don't think they're going to win any of the next three. They're going to finish 5-7 and have another losing season. First time they've had 3 straight losing seasons in forever. That's how tough it's going to be. They've really struggled right now, and they really continue to struggle under Billy Napier.
But you have to look ahead. I know Florida Gator fans are so focused on this season, but next season they have a very good recruiting class coming in. So if they can keep those guys together, maybe not next year, but in 2 years, they could have a really good team.
Well, you hit it. You've got to keep that recruiting class together. That's this thing. They're third in the nation recruiting. You got to get those 5 stars and those 4 stars. And Billy Napier looks like he's really good at that. The problem is you can't continue to struggle on the field and all of a sudden you worry about people recruiting against you. Hey, why would you go there? They're going to lose because they don't coach very well. That's what you've got to keep from happening. And I worry about that because there's bad mojo every time you lose, and I think they're going to lose 3 more times. But if they can keep that class together, everybody calms down a little, to your point, when the season's over, I think you'll be okay. But it's been a tough year for the Gators.
Let's talk about the complete opposite side of the SEC, the Georgia Bulldogs. They kind of rolling into possibly the SEC championship. I think either this week, definitely next week, where they'll, get that bid to the SEC championship.
I think Georgia has the best team in the country. I will tell you this. I think the game in a week, not this weekend against Ole Miss, but next week at Tennessee will be the real test. I think Tennessee's pretty good, and I think Tennessee's very good at home. The biggest test for the Georgia Bulldogs, in my opinion, even almost more than the championship game, because that's at least at a neutral site and it's in Atlanta. I think the biggest test for the Bulldogs will be at Tennessee. That's a game to keep an eye on, but I think they've got the best team.
And talking about Florida State, big rivalry week for the Seminoles. They're against Miami this weekend, hosting Miami. It's a tough matchup. It's rivalry week.
I can tell you, I think in the late 80s, early 90s, that was the best rivalry in the nation with regard to how good the players were and how good the teams were. It probably didn't have the vitriol that Alabama, Auburn, or Florida FSU or some of those have, but in terms of best players, it was the best rivalry. More NFL players came out of that thing. We loved FSU Miami week. The problem is, since then, we haven't had many years where they're both good. This year, FSU's loaded. I think FSU's going to be in the playoff. Miami, not so much. FSU beat them 45-3 last year, and that was in Miami. I think FSU might roll the Canes. The Canes are struggling. They're not sure who they want their quarterback to be. Tough sledding for Miami, just like Florida. And now they've got to go play a really good FSU team in Tallahassee. I think FSU lays it to the Canes. I really do.
Oh, well, we'll see on Saturday. Another full weekend of college football for us. Well, Frank, thank you so much. And that's your look at sports.